I'm going to be giving you this exercise, and the first two students that get this right would be winning airtime top up from me. Hello everyone and welcome back to class. Okay, so a very beautiful student of mine asked for this particular topic, and I thought, why not? If not, let me share it with every one of you. So in today's lesson, we'll be teaching rhyme and rhyme schemes in literature. Let's get started. So let's start with definition of rhyme. A rhyme is a repetition of similar sounds in two or more words. Rhyming is particularly common in many types of poetry, especially at the end of lines. You are going to understand better, okay? But what you need to know is that it's a repetition of similar sounds. So let's say two particular words sound the same. Okay, we say that in literature, we say that the sounds are rhyming. Okay, we say that there are two rhyming words. So that's basically the definition of rhyme. So let's quickly go to types of rhyme. The first type of rhyme I will be explaining in this tutorial is I rhyme. I rhyme. Okay, I rhymes don't usually share any of the same sound, but they look as though they should, because they have the same spelling. So basically what I rhyme is that when you look at it, you feel, oh, but rhymes should sound the same way, right? So when you look at it, you feel that it looks the same way, and you automatically feel that it should sound the same way. Now, if you do not take a step further and pronounce each of those sounds, each of those words, to know how they sound, you would never know that they really do not sound the same way, but they look as though they do. Do we understand? So that is I rhyme. Looking at it, it looks like this is going to sound the same way. In fact, it looks as though it's even almost the same spelling, right? But you need to go a step further to pronounce those words. When you pronounce it individually, you realize that, oh, this is not rhyming. That means that it does not have the same sound. It only looks as though it rhymes. So when it looks as though it rhymes but does not sound the same, we call it I rhyme. I hope you understand. Rough and calf. Rough, calf. Then we have Christ and wrist. Automatically, when you look at it, you feel, oh, this should sound the same, but they are sounding differently. So this is an example of I rhyme. Give me two other examples of I rhyme in the comment section. Then we go to another type of rhyme, and this is monorhyme. Monorhyme is a term used for a poem that uses a single rhyme throughout. In other words, the rhyme scheme for a monorhyming poem will just be a. Don't worry, we'll still get to the rhyme scheme so you understand, okay? The rhyme scheme for a monorhyming poem will just be a, like everything, every word that ends each line of the poem ends or sounds the same way. Sounds the same way. So you cannot even give a B because there's no alternating sound, there's no different sound. Everything sounds the same. So you're just going to label every line A. Letter A. Moving on, we have the end rhyme. Now, end rhyme is any rhyme that occurs at the end of a line of a verse in the final word or syllables. This is by far the most common type of rhyme used in poetry. An example would be, now, end rhyme. When you look at your poem, you look at the words that ends each of the line, and then look at those words, like each of those lines, the last word in each of the line. You look at all of the last words in each of the line, and that is your end rhyme. Some poets make sure that they put all of their rhyme at the end of each line. That's the most common, it's the commonest, okay, form of rhyme. They don't even struggle. They just make sure that they, like this famous Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, how I wonder what you are, upper, the poet or the songwriter or whatever, decide to put all of the rhyme, all of the words that sound alike at the end of each line. So that is end rhyme. An example is, roses are red, violets are blue. So the last word in this first line is blue, right? Sugar is sweet and so are you. The last word in this line is what? You. Do we understand? So we have blue and you. Okay, so this is sounding the same. So if you go back, you'll see that if you go back to the previous slide, you'll realize that this is a mono rhyme because they're just two lines, right? So we just have blue and you rhyming or sounding alike. So let's go to internal rhyme now. You know that we said end rhyme are the words that sound the same at the end of each line of the poem, yeah? For internal rhymes now, they are rhyming words that do not occur at the end of the line. That is why we call it internal. It is inside the line of the poem. An example would be, I drove myself to the lake and dove into the water. Now, you will know that there is drove and there is dove, okay, inside the line of the poem. So when you are reading a particular poem and in each of the line or in some of the lines, you can actually pick out 2 or 3 words that rhyme the same way. That is an example of internal rhyme. Do we understand? Now, see it, I drove myself to the lake and I dove into the water. Now, let's go to rhyme scheme. Now, this is the juice. Let's go to rhyme scheme. Mostly in WAEC, though, there are usually passages where they will ask the rhyme scheme for this particular excerpt here. So, rhyme scheme is the pattern according to which end rhymes. You should understand what rhyme scheme is right now. Rhyme located at the end of the lines are repeated in works, poetry. Rhyme scheme are described using letters of the alphabet such that all the lines in the poem that rhyme with each other are assigned the letter beginning with E. Now, rhyme scheme deal basically with end rhyme. Rhyme scheme will not go for internal rhyme. You cannot decipher, you cannot deduce a rhyme scheme from internal rhyme. You can only get your rhyme scheme from end rhyme. So to ascertain a particular rhyme scheme, you have to look at the poem, look at the words that end each of the poem, and you have to start from the first line. Now, if the first line ends in blue, you are to start with the first letter, which is letter A. Now, if you look at the last word of the second line of the poem, and it does not sound the same with blue, you are to give that word, that line, alphabet B, because it is not rhyming with the first one. I hope you understand. That is how you go all through to the end of the poem. Let's pick this example. We have twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Now, let's really do this together. We have star, we have R, we have high, and we have high, like sky high, and we have I. So looking at this now, we are focusing on the words that end each of the line of the poem. We are focusing on star, R, high, and sky. All right. So for star, because that is the first line, we are to label star. That line, we have to label it letter A. That's the first letter. Okay. Now, R is also sounding. It rhymes with star. So we are to also label it letter A. So for all of the words, now let's imagine that this poem is longer than this. For all of the words that sound like star, you are labeling it A. You are not changing it. Now, if you now get to another line that does not sound like star, let's take line 3. All right. Up above the world so high. Okay. Now, high is different from is different from star, right? So because high is different from star and we are going to label high letter B. Do we understand? Let's go to the fourth line. Like a diamond in the sky. Now, sky and do not rhyme, but it does rhyme with high. So we are labeling the fourth line, we are labeling it letter B. So automatically, when I come and I see it, I automatically, even before reading it, I understand that these words, these lines rhyme the same. Okay, it ends with the same rhyming sound. Let's look at the example. So we have twinkle, twinkle, little star. A, how I wonder what you are. A, up above the world so high. B, like a diamond in the sky. B. Now, let me go. I've decided to pick one of the poems in this syllabus, the old syllabus that will be ending this year. So, do not go gently into that good night. I've just picked out some stanzas from it. So, wild men, the last wave by, crying how bright. Now, the last word is bright, yeah? Now, let's go to green bay. The last word is bay. Now, bright, bay. Do they sound alike? Let's continue. The third line is light. Now, let's go to bright again. We have bright, we have bay, and we have light. So how will you label, how will you determine the rhyme scheme? That is, how will you label these lines? Okay, bright, that's the first line. That's the first line. Okay, so you have to label it what? Letter A. All right, regardless of the sound. As long as it is the first line, you have to label it letter A. All right. Now, bay and bright do not sound alike, so you have to label the next line, letter B. Now, light and bright. So to decipher, to determine rhyme scheme, you will have to call it out. You have to pronounce it out to hear it yourself. So light and bright sounds alike. So you are going to label bright words, letter what? Very good, letter A. So we have A, B, A. Now, the rhyme scheme for the first stanza here is A, B, A. Do we understand? Let's go to the second one. Wild men, okay. Now, the second one is flight. The next is way, and the next is night. Now, you are not going to say, oh, because this is another stanza, I'm going to label it another. As long as the word keep rhyming with the first letter, you are going to give it that same honor. Do we understand? And because bright sounds the same as flight, we are still going to label it what? Letter what? Letter what? Amazing. Letter A. Okay? And we are going to label way. Letter what? Very good. Letter B. Okay? So that means that for these two stanzas, we have A, B, A, A, B, A. Now, the A, B, A, B, A is your rhyme scheme. Do we understand? Now, let's go to types of rhyme scheme. A poem's rhyme scheme can be anything the poet wants it to be. But here is a list of some of the more common rhyme schemes. We have alternate rhyme, that is the ABA, the CD, CD, EF, EF, and so on. Now, this alternate rhyme is, the last example that we gave, we have ABA, ABA, yeah. Now, for alternate rhyme, the first stanza, let's imagine that the first stanza is ABA, as we have it in the previous example. Now, the second stanza will not rhyme with the first stanza again. The second stanza will pick different rhyme scheme entirely. And so, the second stanza, if you read the first line of the second stanza and you realize that it does not rhyme with any of the words that ends the first stanza, you are going to label it C. Okay? Now, if you label it C, the second line of the second stanza will automatically or might not rhyme with the one you label C, so you label it D, and then the last line would rhyme with the one you label C, and then you label it C. I hope you understand. So that is how the poet, it depends on how the poet chooses to write his own poem. So we have coupled rhyme. Now, this is any rhyme scheme in which rhymes occur in pairs, such as AA, BB, CC. Now, let me take you back to the last example I gave, the ABA, yeah. So imagine that we have Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, How I Wonder, okay, AAB, How I Wonder What You Are. Now, we have AA, that is a couple rhyme, right? Now, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. That's an example of a couple rhyme. So we have AA, BB. The next two line will rhyme again. It will not rhyme with the first two whatever. So you name it CC, you name it DD. Like each couplet will just be rhyming the same, and then you'll be giving it different letters. All right. So I hope you understand what rhyme scheme is now. I hope you understand. Here. All right. So I'm going to be giving you this exercise, and the first two students that get this right would be winning a airtime top up from me. Okay. So look at this exercise. You can pause this video. Look at this exercise here and tell me the type of rhyme it is. Tell me the type of rhyme it is. Okay. you know, rhyme is different from rhyme scheme. That's an expo, yeah. So just look at it and tell me the type of rhyme. And of course, for the second one, give this a rhyme scheme. Give me the right rhyme scheme for this one. The first one is tell me the type of rhyme. The second one is give me the right rhyme scheme for this. And the first two people to get it right would be winning airtime top up from me. So here is where we conclude today's lesson. I hope that this lesson has done justice to anything rhyme scheme. If you still have any question on that rhyme or rhyme scheme, let me know in the comment section. So I come your way next class. Be good and bye.